We all love Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Of course we do, and everyone's favorite anti-heroes are back. The first Telltale Games episode of the franchise released recently, plus the latest movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is hitting theaters May 5th. There's no doubt about it, the Guardians are big business nowadays. The last movie made a whopping $773 million at the box office, instantly becoming a pillar franchise for Marvel's cinematic universe. And the sequel is expected to open at $150 million just domestically, picking up where the last one left off. But did you know that the Guardians haven't always been quite so famous? In fact, their history dates all the way back to the late 1960s, back in the Silver Age of comics. The current team didn't even exist until 2008, and it was mainly a collection of strays and cast-offs from other Marvel comics that were flops with readers. Sound familiar? The history of the Guardians is a history of reboots, cancellations, and a group of outcasts thrown together to become an unlikely super team. Come with us as we explore the history behind some of the, frankly, strangest superheroes in the Marvel Universe. For starters, the original Guardians of the Galaxy go all the way back to 1969 when they debuted in Marvel Superheroes number 18, and that original lineup didn't feature any of the Guardians you remember from the movie. That's right, no Star-Lord, no Drax, no Gamora, no Rocket Raccoon, no Groot. As Gizmodo reminds us, the first group of Guardians were an astronaut named Major Vance Astro, a weird crystal alien named Martinex, a human living on Jupiter named Charlie 27, and a blue alien with a mohawk named Yondu. Now that last name might ring a bell. Yondu made an appearance in the first Guardians movie as Star-Lord's adopted dad, played by Michael Rooker, and he will be making another appearance in the sequel. It looks like he might even get the mohawk. The original team of Guardians lived far, far in the future, the 31st century to be exact, and they fought a reptilian alien race called the Badoon that had taken over the galaxy. Eventually, of course, the Guardians beat the Badoon, but they weren't done yet. They would regularly time travel back to the 20th century Earth and help out good guys. Probably the most famous Marvel storyline they were involved in was when they assisted the Avengers in battling the supervillain known as Korvac, which is considered one of the best storylines in Marvel history. After that, the Guardians weren't really heard from for a while, for years in fact. Finally, they got a proper comic of their own in 1990, and in that comic, they protected the Milky Way, joining forces with 31st century versions of Iron Man, Wolverine, the Silver Surfer, and others. The comic was written and illustrated by Jim Valentino, who eventually left Marvel along with several other high-profile comic artists in 1992 to form Image Comics. The Guardians comic was canceled after 62 issues. That brings us to the modern era and the formation of the Guardians of the Galaxy as we know them based on the cinematic universe. The second iteration of the Guardians series was launched in 2008, and this lineup was a lot closer to what we know today. The team included everyone we knew from the movie, the first movie that is, plus magic user Adam Warlock and the cosmically strong Quasar. The interesting thing is, a lot of the team was cobbled together from the flotsam of Marvel's past. Groot, for instance, first popped up in the 1960s to terrorize Earth in Tales to Astonish number 13. Oh, and he could talk back then, saying an awful lot more than I am Groot, although he does say it very expressively. Meanwhile, Star-Lord dates back to the 70s, and so does Rocket Raccoon, who was originally inspired by the Beatles song Rocky Raccoon. Interesting side note, Rocket's first job was working in a galactic insane asylum, which seems fitting somehow. Oh, and as for Drax, he was just a regular old human being named Arthur Douglas whose family was attacked and killed by Thanos when they were taking a nice car trip through the desert. Arthur's spirit was placed in a new body and Drax was born. Meanwhile, speaking of Thanos, Gamora is his adopted daughter, which you remember from the first movie, right? So, the current team of Guardians, in the comics anyways, was assembled by Star-Lord in 2008. This was during the aftermath of Marvel's Annihilation Conquest storyline, in which the universe was attacked by the cybernetic species known as the Phalanx, who were led by Ultron. In the aftermath of the Phalanx invasion, Star-Lord decided to form a team of heroes to be proactive in protecting the galaxy, and thus, the Guardians of the Galaxy were born. Again. They established a base on a space station that could teleport them anywhere, which is very convenient. Oh, and there's an intelligent telepathic dog named Cosmo the Space Dog, who's their chief of security, because comics are awesome. They even met up with an amnesiac who turned out to be Vance Astro, the leader of the original Guardians of the Galaxy, and the new team adopted the name as their own. Needless to say, they've had a number of adventures since then, but before the movie hit in 2014, the Guardians were a B-level Marvel squad, at best. But after the movie became a smash hit, Marvel decided that fans maybe possibly would want more of the Guardians comics. A lot more. As a part of the all-new, all-different Marvel initiative that was launched in 2015, all the cast members of the movie got their own comic series. Star-Lord continued as a solo series written by Sam Humphries. Meanwhile, Rocket Raccoon and Groot joined up in a series written by Scotty Young. Drax and Gamora also got their own solo books. Drax's is written by former pro wrestler CM Punk, which is awesome, and Gamora's is penned by Nicole Perlman. So that about catches you up with the history of the Guardians, a team that's been through a lot of incarnations but has finally worked their way into our hearts. Are you planning on watching the new movie? Let us know in the comments. And for all your Guardians of the Galaxy news, make sure you like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the Now.
Time, Galaxy Savers. Yeah!